24-25 Tottenham Hotspur conceded 65 goals in the Premier League, 78 in all competitions. 25-26 Tottenham Hotspur, after just 4 games, have 3 clean sheets and just 1 goal conceded. 4 clean sheets in all competitions. Now, Thomas Frank has transformed Tottenham Hotspur, but that's been repeated so many times by everyone, by me quite a few times. But today we're going to analyse their biggest strength, why it is so difficult to score against Tottenham Hotspur. So after a campaign of misery in defence for Tottenham Hotspur under Ange Postecoglou, Spurs are finally a compact, tricky, well-organised defensive unit again. And although it's not quite gotten off the ground on the ball just yet, they certainly have their defensive solidity to fall back on. Although it's a small sample size, Frank's impact is clearer than ever. A breath of fresh air, as Spurs rank high for most stats you'd expect them to, and it's evident that Thomas Frank and his staff are doing a sensational job of translating their ideas across. These stats are fantastic, and with Thomas Frank and his coaching team's key insights within statistics and data, you expect them to top a lot of them by the end of the season. A lot of stats, a lot of key figures. Many people may bite back at this and say he's got Van der Ven and Romero fit, he's not having to play Archer Gray centre-back like Ange, which would be a valid point if it wasn't for the fact that Ange was causing those injuries by his broken tactics and very physically demanding style of play. So let's have a look at why Thomas Frank's Tottenham tactics are not broken and they're so difficult to score past. So as you can see, we have Tottenham Hotspur in this high press, and as you can see, we're just using Manchester City for reference. We don't really care about Manchester City. Tottenham beat them, move on. But as we know, Thomas Frank likes to coordinate and coach a very high press. It's brave, it's risk reward, but more reward comes from it than risk. Obviously due to personnel from Brentford and Tottenham, but also brilliant coaching. When he coaches it as well as this, then more reward is going to come than risk and punishment. It is simply fantastic. And although I did share my initial concerns in the summer over Thomas Frank and his out of possession approach, I think he's just proved, give him high quality players, give him the perfect personnels, and he will coach this amazingly. But if we have a look at what the goalkeeper can see here, and if we have a look at this high press, where is he going to pass to? Every pass turns into a duel. You're thinking a smart little pass into Rangers here, or the midfielder. Paulinho, a midfield destroyer, probably the most aggressive ball winner in the Premier League, is going to come and clamp you. Any pass forward, as we know from the Manchester City game, Pape Sarr and his freak athletic profile will get to you. A pass to the right, that will probably turn into a long ball, maybe down here. Jed Spence is amazing at jumping out aggressively. So every short pass is tight, every short pass is very difficult. So then you have to go long, and then you have to rely on your goalkeeper to be accurate with his long passing. So you're looking for the long ball to the number 9. Then you're met with the wrath of that defensive number 2, Christian Romero and Van der Ven. Romero wins duels for breakfast. His aggressiveness, everything about him is brilliant. And if that striker wants to drop deep, try and push him away from that area, then he'll follow. Christian Romero is comfortable with following, and so is Van der Ven. If you're trying to drop her attacking midfielder in to create a +1, then Van der Ven's just going to follow. He's not afraid. He's certainly got the recovery pace to get back. So it's very difficult to actually play through this phase because Tottenham and their personnel is perfect. As much as it is the coaching here, it's also the personnel, and Tottenham have it down to the ground. Even if you were to beat this phase with your short passing, I doubt you will, but if you do beat it, then you are still met with the aggression of those two, and most importantly, Paulinho. He's a midfield destroyer. It's a selfless-like role at times, even on the ball, where he gets the best out of others. He brings so much security to that back line. And when we have a look at this midfield, you have Pape Sarr, you have Paulinho, you have Bergvall, you have Bentancur that's on the bench as well. All are athletic, all are good ground duelers, all are brilliant in their own minds, athletically, physically. There's so much security that the defence doesn't have to work that much at times, because the team actually needs to get by these three, particularly Paulinho and Pape Sarr, who are both so energetic in this phase. So it's very difficult for a team to play out, but obviously sometimes they are going to play out, and they are going to beat Tottenham Hotspur in transition, whether that's a corner, whether that's genuinely playing through. It is very difficult, but it can be done. We're still focusing on that middle three: Paulinho, Romero and Van de Ven. Now, of course, Pedro Porro is the weak link here. Defensively, 1v1, he's very, very suspect. But this doesn't mean this can't be covered by that energetic midfield three. You look at the player here moving forward, he's going to be met by Paulinho, he's going to be met by Sarr, Bergvall, Christian Romero, Van de Ven. There's so much assurance within Spurs in transition that they've hardly been exposed so far this season. Even when they played Bournemouth, which is a very high tempo, slightly counter-attacking team, they didn't get exposed that much despite their in possession issues. So there's so much security here, and there's so much defensive solidity to actually fall back on. But for the centre-backs, it's all about that starting distance. It's all about the starting distance they start between their player. So if the number 10 is dropping in deep and the ball eventually gets played into him, that's when Van de Ven will jump. Sometimes with these more technical players, they actually prefer if you're more tight to them, because it means they don't have to scan a lot, it means they don't need to look behind them, they know exactly where you are. They can use you to pull away from the position, but if you start back and then jump ahead, it leaves you better opportunity at getting the ball, but also not being spun by that technical player. Because if you're running into here and he simply just turns, it's easier to sort of recover that in a way, because you're in full strides. As opposed to being tight, it's easier just to get away, even when a foul to extent. But if we have a look at the next phase within this 4-4-2 from deep, it's a basic shape, but it's one that is genuinely very compact and very tricky to break down. Again, we are looking at the middle of the pitch. It's so compact, it's so tight, you can't play anything down the middle. And that's something that's so good about Tottenham Hotspur, is that of course it's personnel, but it's also structure. If you try and play a pass straight to the number 9, you've got Paulinho, you've got Bergvall, you've even got Bentancur who might play, who are going to intercept that pass. But also, you firstly got to get it by Pape Sarr, who is a freak athletic profile. So of course you'll move the ball out wide, and that's exactly when you're getting 2v1. Should the number 10 here try and move in behind, Bergvall will follow. And it's the exact same on the other side. If a number 10 tries to run in behind, he will be followed by the right winger or the defensive midfielder. The midfield covers for that defence so well, and it's why sometimes the defence doesn't have to work as hard, because the midfield security is just so brilliant. So you can't play down the middle, you can't really play down the sides. It's so compact, it's so tricky, and how do you even play by it? It's amazing. Now with this phase, if they are looking to trigger the press, it can easily turn into a 4-2-4, ultimately when they force them backwards, and it's something that David Moyes and Everton did last season. But even then, if you are again looking at wide, Jed Spence is such a good 1v1 defender. It's very difficult to get by him, so ultimately when it's this 2v1 out wide, you are just being forced back every single time. Now, as we've identified, Pedro Porro is slightly the weakness 1v1. Defensively, he had a tough time against Antoine Semenyo. He has a tough time overall against 1v1 defenders. But Kudus can cover across, and so can Paulinho. There's enough cover, and should they actually be beaten, you've then got to get by Christian Romero and Van de Ven. Two aerially dominant centre-backs, ground duels, clearances, blocks. They're the type of defenders that actually enjoy defending. So that's why Tottenham, when they have a little bit of pressure on them, they don't concede, because they can rely on their defence, but also their midfield to do some of the dirty work and do some defensive brilliance. If we do look at Spurs from deep within this phase, then obviously it's so compact, there's so many players back, but you also have no idea how to score in some senses. You can try this underlapping run just here, but you can have Van de Ven or Bergvall come across, there's a lot of security. You can try and cross the ball into the box, but then you're met with the wrath of Christian Romero, Van der Ven. So I think ultimately you do have to look down this side and sort of hope for the best, because there's so much security within the middle that the right side is probably the weaker side defensively. But even then, you've still got Palhinha to come across, Pape Sarr to come across. It's not just as easy as targeting Pedro Porro and then winning the game. It's so difficult to beat this Tottenham team, and it shows within the data. You can be doubled up and even tripled up to an extent when you've got the ball out wide, and that's with these throws. And you can also have Pape Sarr shift across, so it ultimately and indefinitely shifts them backwards. And of course, if you were to try and dribble past these, then you've got 3 players on this side in transition, which we're not talking about on the ball qualities, but Spurs do share good threat here. The shape is so tricky, so well organised, and even when we do look in transition, there are smartets, there are tactical fouls, there are players who do have a level of independence about them. So this Tottenham team is so difficult to break down, and this is why. 2 centre-backs and midfield are the absolute key. Thomas Frank has maximised the fitness of the team, sharpness of the team, which has been able to implement his brilliant style of play. It's fantastic. Tottenham are fantastic, and it's good to see them defensively solid again. Thank you for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, feel free to smash a like and subscribe to the channel. Where do you think Tottenham Hotspur will finish this season? Will it be outside of the top 4? Will it be the top 4? Will it be even higher? Who knows? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.